talking about him. But I think sometimes when we had these conversations about some of these athletes, because it was so funny when Erica sent me the Paul Pierce joke, I just liked it because I didn't agree with what he was saying, but at that same time I was arguing with a girl in my DM about the Paul Pierce joke. And again, when I sit here and say something about Paul Pierce just a minute ago, it's like, for sports wise, I don't listen to Paul Pierce at all, because it's like, I just know he a LeBron hater. I'm a LeBron fan, so I kind of really don't want to hear nothing that a nigga sit here and got to say about basketball. So I kind of blocked Paul Pierce out completely. But again, even when we talk about somebody like Shannon Sharpe, it was just like when I sit here and say, when I was arguing with the person in the chat last week, and they were saying, well, his type is his type. But I think sometimes it's like, again, when I even just sit here and say something about RD3, if I know that your type is one way, it's like, I don't necessarily know if I even care about what your preference is. So I see so many women get upset about it, and I kind of wonder, do you think, what is it about, I guess, when you hear a man say what Paul Pierce said, and we're going to play the clip after we can kind of just walk it into it. What make you get upset about, like, even if you never see, I don't ever know if you ever even seen him play basketball or even think he is an attractive man, but what is it that kind of trigger you sometimes when you, I guess, hear those clips?
Because what does he mean? They know how to apologize. Or what did he say? They know how to take accountability or something, right?
Yeah, I'm going to play the clip. Paul Pierce.
Why do you feel like men, especially NBA players, get with the white women? Is it because they're easy, quote unquote?
I got some theories, but I really want to hear it from you.
I do too. I want to hear it too.
I honestly think that maybe they appreciate maybe more and they apologize more.
Listen, I'm scared. Hold on.
No.
Hold on.
I mean, you know,
I had an interview with
don't mind being held accountable.
I'm so scared of this, y'all, because I had an interview with Columbus Short, and I asked him this similar question, and he said something, and I got dragged for filth. I was on Breakfast Club, I was on Chevron, I had death threats for so long from Black women, because they said I laughed when he said that. So let me not laugh. I don't have nothing to do with this.
I mean, that's what I think. I don't know.
He don't know, though, because he dates Black women, period. So do not come for him, period. Do you feel like, why do you feel like,
I guess you said Paul Pierce do. I don't know. I listen.
Did he get in trouble for having them? Those wasn't Black women in there.
Hey, what? Hey, the strip joint? Yeah, it was.
You sure?
Black women in there? I think it was mixed. It was a mixed group of women. But I think realistically, again, when you hear some of these clips, I just always wonder what does it for women that kind of trigger. Because like as a man, if I hear a woman sit here and say, I only want to date rich men, and if the woman ain't really my speed, or I feel like I'm not even nowhere near going to be in her tax bracket anytime soon, I don't get offended. I kind of don't even care about it. But I think for when Black women hear some of these shit, I don't care if they never even seen a clip of Paul Pierce play basketball before. They just absolutely want to go crazy on it. But it was like,
because how many other basketball players actually probably think that don't say it?
If they don't say it, then it don't hurt you. How many people probably say nigga, but if you don't hear them say it, it don't bother
me. But I think it's more so because they probably know more people that play basketball or whatever the case may be. So, or athletes, they probably think like, that's how y'all niggas think. Just like even with the rappers, like, oh, y'all niggas think y'all trap. You know what I'm saying? Like, you think like that.
I mean, you're not one. It's a woman right here.
Well,
so
I feel like because you're making, if your preference is to date a white woman, then just say that's your preference. Don't make up a bullshit ass excuse or because they say sorry. Like, it's plenty of Black men out here that don't take accountability for their actions, that gaslight women. It's, you know, it's a whole. So say that I like white women. Don't make up a bullshit ass excuse like that. That's what it is to me. If that's your preference, then say that's your preference. But it don't fault us like, oh, because they this and they that. Like, you're perfect. Like you're
okay, but I don't know if you remember what he looked like, but do you think he's an attractive man? Because that's the only thing I'm saying.
I didn't even know who he was, and when I looked, I mean, I'm not attracted to him.
But that's my point, though. I do think, and sometimes even again when we even talking about when I just sit here and kind of even sit here and say that with the fat dude who's saying he allowed his white fans to say the N-word. I think sometimes I'd be wondering like, because it's like, when you have clips like this, it's like, I wonder sometimes, like, do people know, like, especially when it comes to podcasting, and that's why so many women like, I hate men who podcast and this and that, because I think these clips are almost like, it's like rage baiting to the point where it's like we can come and sit here every week and have real dialogue and have decent human conversations, but those are clips people won't get mad, so those clips won't go viral. But when you sit here and say something crazy like this, like, okay, it go viral, so let me double down. If I'm just playing the numbers game and I really date black women and I kind of don't care, I'm just gonna sit here and troll black women because I know that they got the loudest voices via social media. Sometimes that's why I be like, damn, it's so crazy where it's like, you can big black. I mean, let's be clear, it's a difference. Now, if you want to sit here and go OD panda, where it's like the podcasters used to have like the little green stuff behind them, and they were saying all the like the crazy. And you know what's so crazy? What's my man named the tonight's conversation? The Ace Metaphor, I believe that's his name. I actually listened to him and Cam Newton, and I'm like, bro, you are a decent person and know how to have a better conversation than the conversation that you have via social media. Him and Cam Newton even had that back and forth, and they talked about it. It was like, Cam Newton, he probably felt the same way I felt. He was like, bro, it seemed like your clips be so pillow talky-ish, like you kind of like kick men back in, like hey,
that's what sells.
But that's my point. So why even buy it? Almost like, especially when women get upset. Because I swear to God, when Erica sent me this, I literally was arguing with a girl in a DM about the same exact video, and I was like, damn,
because you get tired of hearing it. And
but that's the conversation. But that is the conversation.
But it doesn't matter. But I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. But like, even the conversation me and Mikey had earlier, I'm like, though, people going to do what they can do to bait you in to get that. That's the conversation, though.
I mean,
like if I'm gonna sit here,
that's how a lot of black men feel. Like it's like if you hate black women, then just say that. Like your mother's black, your aunt is black. So if that's not your preference, then say that's not my preference. Because it's a lot of reasons why women might say, "Oh, well, we date white men," but everybody has their faults.
But why most white women? I mean, why most black women wouldn't date a white man? So, they'd be like they would say, "Oh, he ain't got a big dick" or something like that, right?
It could be a whole bunch of reasons why.
But that would be majority of.
I mean, that's what will be the automatic what somebody might fall back to. Yes.
I agree with what Erica's saying. I feel like if that's your preference, then don't say it. But I do think a lot of times when people say, like, even I'm gonna play another clip of Paul Pierce, and I think sometimes people find, even when we talk about Slim Thug or we talk about some people like was Uncle Luke, it'd be certain people I just be like, bro, I know that they know what they doing and they saying what they saying because they know what the reaction gonna be. Like if I got a little bit of, if I have some form of celebrity attached between my name where it's easier for these blog pages to pick me up, let me say something outrageous that I know for a fact that's going to make either. And sometimes if you already, I feel like if you're not famous yet, the better thing is to pander to black women. Like pander to black women so you can kind of get popular via social media. But if you already are a celebrity, you trying to get your podcast really with some traction. If you're a man, kind of trash black women, and it kind of just like it's so weird how social media work because it's just like, yeah, I don't know though. It's just some of those things like it could never do nothing for me because it's just like it's Paul.
Peace, first of all.
What if a woman brings you that?
There's no such thing as that.
You don't think there's no such thing as a woman bringing
peace? There's no such thing as somebody living with you on a day-to-day basis is bringing peace. It's always going to be something because you're going to have a bad day where I'll have a good day, and that's not going to be peaceful for me. I'm going to come home like, damn, baby, like I had a good... Something going to happen to where you going to hijack my emotions. So that's not peaceful. You feel me? Peace is peace. And peace is me by myself. I come home, I watch TV, I make my own food, I go to bed, I work out, I wake up at 5:30, I roll over in the bed, I lean this way, I fart, whatever I do, whatever. In my bed, that's peace. I'm cool. I can loud snore, whatever. I ain't got nobody complaining about nothing. Because I
hate when they cut these on short, and I ain't about to play. But anyway, he went in, I guess, a little bit longer, where he was sitting here saying that marriage is for poor people and for old people. So like I said, when you sit here to start to hear some of those clips and you start to hear how it's just like, all right, he got you now. He knows for a fact.
Person?
Yeah, that was the same exact person.
So maybe he's gay. Like if you gay, then say you gay. Maybe women is just not your thing. But just stop trying to hide behind.
Well, he been in Boston all his life.
It doesn't matter.
No,
I'm just saying he probably do like the typical stereotypical thing to say. Oh, black women, they're angry, they're evil, they're masculine. Say I don't like women, or I don't like black women. Say that. Because if you want to point fingers at why black women are the way they are, to start to own up to the black man's what the black man did to put the black woman in the situations or give them the mind frame that they have. Fix that, and then you'll fix the black women. If you're not going to address it, then shut the fuck up and be gay.
See, again, but that's why I say again. I think these conversations where it's like, I do think I don't know if I believe what these people be saying because I'm like, bro, it's to me like it.
But
like,
that's what I'm saying. But listen to like you're taking a conversation from Paul Pierce, right? We never seen Paul Pierce married. We never seen Paul Pierce in a serious relationship. He played in Boston for God knows his whole damn career for real. That was it. Mm-hmm. So he was around white women. So we sitting here because he's on ESPN and all that. You're sitting here saying you're quoting him, but what he's been around is white women, right?
I mean, listen to what I'm saying.
I like white women.
No, it's fine, but guess what? But who the people? When you see the black men reposting it, you like, oh, you agree with that? That's what I'm saying. But you, like you said, I don't take Paul Pierce's opinion on basketball, but you wouldn't take Paul Pierce's opinion on women because you never seen him with a woman.
No, listen again. You're Marcus. You missing? I think you are repeating what I'm saying. I'm totally agree with what you're saying. I personally wouldn't, but I'm not a woman. So, but Erica is a woman.
But that's what I'm saying. But she don't know.
But that's my point. So you're proving my point. She don't know who he is and don't even care who he is. And that's what I say. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it because she's not the only woman who I'm telling you. I was literally in a middle of a debate with somebody because when they hear these things, they get triggered. It don't matter who the nigga is. They don't care. That's what
I'm saying. But when you see on your algorithm, social media wise, it's what y'all are liking or what are y'all reposting. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I say when you sit here and deal with these type of people, you be like, oh well. You liking this, you seeing it. Like you said, when we say you don't like BBL girls, that's not what you always date. But because you like those pictures, that's what people will think, right?
I mean, I think it's two different things. I don't think because realistically, none of us don't follow Paul Pierce. All it takes sometimes, and that's why people get so mad with the shade room in the neighborhood talk because they put it on your timeline. Like I don't have to necessarily. I didn't have these page when I just played them clips. Them clips didn't come from actual Paul Pierce page because none of us don't follow Paul Pierce. That came from the blog pages that you follow, and they pick it up. And because they know for a fact, but that's what I'm saying. They know what's one thing. The shade room and all these other blog pages know. They know what's going to upset people. So for likes and hate comments, for them, it's just as good as positive comments because realistically. When it is something positive, most of the time, again, it don't get that same type of conversation. But something like this, they get people upset. When people get up, I don't know what it is about people where it's like more people are willing to have dialogue about something that upsets them than something that makes them happy. Like it's easy for again when we talk about it with music, it's easy for people to sit here and say what's trash, but you never sit here and be like, oh, okay, well, what do you like then? So that's why I say I don't know what it is. I don't know because I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what it is in people's brain that trigger them that way. But it because like I said, I think for men and women, they're completely different. It don't matter what the race is. I think realistically, logically, for a man, where it's like we're a little bit more logical with these topics and conversations, where it's like. It wouldn't bother me if I know that if the woman ain't my type, I don't care what her opinion is. But sometimes for women, they kind of overthink men. And I'll play a clip of this lady on a Pop the Balloon joint. She literally thought because this dude was a nice looking nigga and she was a dark-skinned woman, she thought he wasn't her type. She thought she wasn't his type because she was dark-skinned. And he was like, what the hell are you talking? And she felt so stupid because the way he was describing her, like for every detail on why he liked her, it was everything about her being dark-skinned and her figure. And she was kind of like, I'm gonna play the clip, and she felt like an idiot. And it was just like, bro, like, I think sometimes these social media jokes be just knowing how to trigger us.
That's your type?
Yeah, she's my type. Definitely, I like her skin tone. I like dark skinned women. She's beautiful. You know what I mean? And I like the fact that you got braids. Like you embracing your. Oh, I'm shocked, and I didn't think you were attracted.
Why are you shocked?
I don't know. I didn't think I was his type.
I should think that, but
you're very beautiful. I like your skin tone again, and you got gorgeous almond eyes, and
Okay. So, are you still leaving your balloon on pop? Is he someone that is your type?
He's attractive. I just didn't think I was his type.
Why are you eliminating yourself? You want the balloon back?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get that balloon back. Hey, well, that is yes.
And again, that's why I say I think so. It's the crazy thing is it's social media, and that's so messed up is because it's like I don't think none of us understand how bad social media is kind of desensitizing us from being like regular humans and actually having regular conversations because it was like she was a beautiful woman. And again, when I started this episode off doubling down on the Bootsy and Kanye, she was one like I'm looking at her like she even picked a perfect dress that fit her skin tone perfectly. She looked like she was well moisturized. She looked well put together. So for her to have that insecurity in herself to feel like she wasn't like he was going to pop his balloon on her just because she was a dog. dark-skinned woman. That to me, just hearing that was like, bro.
But people don't want to address why she feels that way because it's not white people. It's not white men telling her, oh, you're too dark. It's coming from your own kind. It's coming from men that prefer lighter women. Oh, because dark skin is ugly, or I don't want to have no little black ass baby. It's coming from black men. So when you hear stuff like that, that's why it triggers you. Because the black women are always the one that are supporting, but they get shitted on the most.
But so I guess my question would be is like, I agree with what you're saying. But then sometimes it's like, I'd be wondering like, where do you, when you hear, I mean, because I guess, I mean, of course, because it's social media, so we kind of can't control how you hear certain things that you normally wouldn't hear on a day-to-day, because I never heard, now let's be clear, I'm not about to make it like I'm young enough to not remember back in the day when we was young in middle school, and people would be like, oh, if somebody was dark, they call you like an African booty scratcher or something like that. But I don't feel like on a person's normal day-to-day basis, nobody is coming to no woman with that level of disrespect where she can hear on her with her own personal. I don't think no man is really going out his way to disrespect a dark-skinned woman, a light-skinned woman, a fat woman, a skinny woman.
But you've watched the thing. Some people might say, oh, she's too dark-skinned. Or she might be a group, her friend group. It might be like maybe the girls are lighter than her and none of the men ever comment. You don't have to say it.
For sure.
But you can absolutely show it if every time I roll with my friends, I don't get approached because I am the dark-skinned one.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, and those things are true. You're absolutely right. That can happen, and that can realistically kind of do something to your self-esteem. And I think that, again, I told y'all I felt that same way about Shannon Sharp last week. I do think realistically, from even if y'all see the new, when I play this clip in a second of the new woman who was accusing him of something, it's like, I told you when you sent the job, I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, pause, no diddy. I'd rather sleep with a man than sleep with a woman. That's how crazy and ugly she looked. Like, that to me was like, bro, find me a goddamn a woman who's transformed that really got the work done. I don't care how gay that sounds. That's how ugly that white woman looked to me. It was like, bro, I would never in my life want to lay up and get in the bed with her. Like, go find me one of them transgender women who really spent a bunch of thousands of dollars on their body and let me sit here. What's that bitch, Cindy Star? Listen to what I'm saying. And that's okay, but
listen to what you just said.
I don't care. So she's white. I don't give a fuck. That's what I'm saying. But do I care if I'm hurting a white woman's feelings? I don't care. I would never say that about a black woman, but I'm telling you, that white woman looked like trailer park trash with that ugly ass head, that nasty ass looking white skin. I'd rather sit here and fuck Cindy Star than lay in the bed with that woman that Shannon Sharp was in the bed with, dog. It's not going to happen. Sorry.
But I'm saying, but if a woman who is this, it looks the same way as her, but she's black. Would you say that? Would you feel the same way?
She's not black though.
But no, that's what I'm saying. You asking why women feel that type of way. So I'm saying, if the woman was black, listen to how you just sit here and say, I'd rather sleep with a trans than actually sleeping with a woman.
Yeah, you say that white woman.
But if she was black, would you still say
black though? So if she was black, she wouldn't look that way.
That's what. But listen, you say if she wasn't. That's what. That's just like if somebody say, well, you're not light skinned, a dog. Like, dog. You
listen to. I hear what you're saying, but you're mixing the two. And
I'm not mixing the two. You said because she's not. But if she was black and she looked the same way, would you say the same thing?
No, because she wouldn't look that same way. Because you couldn't, as a black person, you couldn't look the way she looked. You couldn't have that pale trailer park trash white skin. That woman looked like she was in the middle of the fucking trailer park. I'm sorry, dog. It would not happen. Shannon Sharp has still been Shannon Sharp. But that's my point. That's why I agree with what Erica said. You cannot tell people, if nobody even personally come out and say hurtful things to you, that's why I agree with what Erica was saying, is you can't sit here and tell people what their regular day-to-day is. Because if I do hang with a group of other women and they may be a lot more lighter, fair skin, that can add some type of insecurity to you where you feel like, okay, well, only people don't like me because I'm this, whatever the kept playing. And let's be clear, I think sometimes it's just where you go sometimes, because it's like, even if you're talking about mental stuff and you're talking about educational stuff, it's like, when we talked about it earlier, when we were talking about Mark Lamont Hill and Ish, normally in a room, Ish may think he's the smartest person. I think sometimes you got to kind of go where it's like, Charlamagne always say this, go where you celebrate it and not where you tolerate it. I don't want to, because some places, yeah, you may go to some place where it's like the uppity blacks and they may not appreciate dark-skinned black people, period. Women or men. I'm not going to keep putting myself in places where I feel like people don't fuck with me. If I know for a fact that this space is a super bougie, up and tight, like me personally, for just who I am as a person to the core of my soul, I would never want to go to what's the black joint that they be having in DC, like the Black Caucus. I wouldn't never want to go to nothing like that. Like, because that's just not who I am as to my core of who I am as a person. I would never want to go nowhere like that because I don't want people to make me feel like I'm less than. So even as a woman or a man, anybody hearing this, you should still, like, sometimes don't put yourself in rooms or in situations where you feel like every time I go somewhere, people are turning their nose up on me or they kind of shading me because of the way I look or the way I present myself. Like, go where you celebrate it. Because it is, I know for a fact it's somewhere. That woman was a beautiful woman. So to hear her say that, that's why I'm not disagreeing with Erica said, because I do feel like, again, when I sit here and say that with Shannon Sharp, I think there is endless people who do deal with different levels of insecurities or have had hard dating times. And that's why sometimes, and that's where if you want to see it and kind of, if you want to shoot somebody some bail like a Paul Pierce, and when they see it saying, oh, this is why athletes like to date white women, because I don't know what their dating experience was. Like, even for Dennis Rodman, if you ever watched the Dennis Rodman 30 for 30 or that, whatever that Dennis Rodman, I think it was a 30 for 30, when he even talked about how black women used to treat him in Arkansas because he was, and let's be clear, Dennis Rodman is an ugly nigga. But, and the sad, you know what's so sad, I guess, with these athletes, especially if you live anyway, if you just naturally ugly and you just have a God gift talent, and I think realistically, if you grow up in a black area and all your whole entire time is you was trying to date black women and you weren't successful, and then you end up going to college and end up becoming professional, and then you start to be around more white people. And the sad thing is, them black women who probably called you ugly when you were just trying to figure out your craft, they probably would think you were cute now too, because these white women kind of get introduce you as already a successful athlete. You already a multimillionaire, or some of them who really know sports know that, oh, you're about to become a millionaire. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit not fair to the black women who thought you was ugly, because I'm sure these white women probably would think you were just as ugly when you was in high school too, or in elementary or middle school. But the sad thing is, you grew up around all black people, so you were shooting your shot at black people your whole entire life, and they were the ones who were telling you was ugly. So now they kind of make you feel some type of way, and then that's why people go run to white people. I'm sure, like, for most black men, that realistically is that's most of their trauma story, and that's the most of the time when you hear them outside of Saquon Barkley. Pause again, and they was cooking Saquon Barkley because he went and took and played golf with Donald Trump and took pictures with him, and it had a tweet or whatever the case may be, and the White House retweeted their picture and retweeted his post and whatever the case may be. But again, Saquon Barkley is a little bit different. Like, for some niggas, you kind of, again, like, pause, I gotta say pause again, no homo, no diddy, all the other stuff. Saquon Barkley is a beautiful man. He is one of those men you be like, oh, this is a gorgeous looking man. He's not ugly like Shannon Sharp. He ain't funny looking like Paul Pierce or Robert Griffin III. So it's hard for some niggas to get a pass on what they end up dating with. Like, I'm not gonna be, Shannon Sharp do look like Miss Nat. So I kind of like, I understand for Shannon Sharp's dating preference maybe way completely left because he's an ugly nigga. Cool, like, it is what it is. I can't tell you no other way. So I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. But Saquon Barkley is a little bit different for him to lay up, and he had kids with a midi. That white girl is meaty as hell. And that's why people was dragging him to hell, because that was a choice. Like, I'm sure never in Saquon Barkley's, like, I'm a man, and I'm telling you, this is a good looking man. There ain't no way on God's green earth you telling me Saquon Barkley went in a room and black women, white women, Spanish, Chinese, whoever, or anybody with two eyes was sitting here saying, oh, this is an ugly nigga. So it's kind of just like nobody don't feel bad, and that's why they kind of even go a little bit more crazy on you with Shannon Sharp. Is a little bit like, all right, you cosmetically challenged, and you kind of like always haven't been him. So I kind of understand where you may lean to some of those things. So like I said, I do think a lot of these conversations, they okay to have if you have the real in-depth conversation on people not being honest about their real insecurities or about their real life traumas on what happened. But I do think sometimes people have to be honest with themselves and sit here and say, why am I putting myself in some of these rooms to allow people to sit here and mistreat me or not celebrate me when I know for a fact there is a room full of people who probably would just be like even that woman, like, let's just hear and say she go to a lot of rooms where she may feel like, I don't even know where she would go and people may not look at her. But let's just sit here and say if you go to somewhere where everybody just geeking over a bunch of light-skinned girls, maybe somewhere in Miami, I don't know. I can't say anything because I live in the DMV area, so I feel like I see women like that all the time, and niggas will geek over her, period. It don't matter where she at. But if you live somewhere else and they kind of may not be as strong, you kind of just find your place where you are always going to be celebrated. And like I said, I think it is, of course, way harder to do and easier to say. It's easy for me to say that on the outside looking in because I'm not a woman, but I'm not sitting here making it seem like I don't have no insecurities or I don't have body dysmorphia. But I think some of those things you have to be honest with yourself and admit that you do have those issues and kind of figure out how to, you can't blame it on everybody else though. Like, you got to just be serious with yourself and be honest with yourself and say, like, I'm dealing with an insecurity. And that to me was like, damn, I didn't like, that shit screamed out to her. And I felt like, I just really felt bad for her because it was like I understand some people, like I'm sure if I go look in the comment section, you can have men who will just sit here and blame her for the reasons why she feels so insecure. But I understand where it's like you said, if you go out with a bunch of females and people don't choose you all the time, it's like, and I think that just goes with what area you grew up in as well too. So I mean, I feel like I'm a little bit on the fence with that. But I do want to play this clip of Shannon Sharp real quick.